good evening to everybody. I hope everybody had a happy Labor Day. I'm not sure if Labor Day is celebrated in other countries, or perhaps you have your own Labor Day. Maybe you can enlighten me on that. I believe, I'm not mistaken, I believe that Halloween is celebrated in some other countries. I used to think that it was only celebrated in the USA, but I believe that it is celebrated in other areas. Anyway, yes, the subject of this episode, I don't do well socially. Well, the reason why I'm talking about it, I had written an article about that on one of the other social media platforms, just talking about how I don't do well socially, either live, like in person at events, or on social media, because I try just to connect with people in both ways. And I don't do very well in either of those arenas. In most of them, there's some virtual events where I do what usually was less people and there's more inclusiveness. And at events too, I have to avoid certain social events, especially if they're in a club or if the goal is for men to pick up attractive women, because it brings out the worst behavior in both genders. I was just talking in the article how when I go to social events, it's always me going up and getting people to talk to me. Quiet. It's like pulling teeth. It's like a 30-second conversation, which is going to be forgotten by the other person within 30 seconds. Or how online, like whenever I post anything, I get 0 views, 0 likes, 0 comments. Yet there are other people, who post whatever. They just got to show the picture and they get 50 likes. And some of these people, and I'll make another episode, they're not the nicest people in the world. They're actually very arrogant and self-absorbed. They must have something which draws, these people. Because the people who like them and comment, these are some people who I know in real life from open mics who don't look or view and comment on any of my stuff. Yep, they flower these assholes with likes and views, and they seeing people smile on my face when I see them in real life. And this makes you wonder, like, what makes people tick? What makes people act the way they do? But when I wrote this article, I got one comment from somebody, and like I was so happy to get a comment, because on a lot of things, whatever I do, I told you, I get 0 likes, 0 views, and 0. But anyway, the person who wrote the comment said that he doesn't put much stock in social interactions. Basically he said, just do you. Forget about who's going to watch, who's going to like, who's going to comment, who's going to approve. And yes, he has a point. He's right. I'm trying to do that to the best of my ability in life and stay in my lane and just do me. But I, like many other people, I am a social being. I remember when I was a kid, my father said to me, Stephen, no man is an island. And there's some people like me who are socially deprived, either by society or by our own doing. And I admit it's partial, who just want a little bit of interaction once in a while. When we go out, we don't want to we go out for a reason, to have some kind of interaction with human beings without having to pull teeth. Or, I don't have too many conduits of communication. I can't just pick up the phone and call up my family members. When I have one family member who only texts, and it's always very, very limited, like this individual has me on a diet. After a few sentences to comment, then I have another individual who only talks to me when this individual in the mood to. Then I have another family member who, has their own life. Then I have 2 other family members who I kind of have to stay away from because of guilt and manipulate. So, you know, like anybody else, I don't have the most ideal family relate. You know, I'm sure everybody else. So I look just for someone to talk to, some kind of interaction once in a while, and just messed up because the people like me, who are the most socially deprived, we it's the hardest for us just to have any kind of interaction, and sometimes it makes me empathize. I empathize with those on the streets, or you know, those who are severely mentally disabled with a mental illness or substance abuse or whatever the problem, who don't have the best social skills. But then again, I kind of resent the way they do it because they force themselves up. You know what I'm talking about. The person standing in front of your convenience store every time you want to go and get yourself something to eat or pick up a gallon of milk, they force themselves over there. They're right in your face when you try to walk in the store. Sometimes their line is spread all over the sidewalk, and you have to walk around, and then you still have to entertain some kind of a greeting from them. And yes, some of them just want attention. Yeah, usually they want money. They want change. They want a cigarette. They want a light. They want something from you. Part of it is they're deprived. They're disenfranchised. So I have empathy for them, but I don't approve of the way they do it because they force themselves upon you. I'm not one of those people who's going to force myself upon you. You know, I have rules, so when other people do not play by my rules, which they don't know about, I get very, very angry inside. But I don't know. That's what I wanted to talk about. Yes, do you. Yes, don't put stock in other people's reality. But like, once again, where is somebody supposed to get, you know, emotional nourishment when they're going bonkers in their own solitary confinement? That's all I have to say. I'm probably going to get 0 views on this episode anyway, because I noticed that when I make longer videos, nobody views or comments. Whereas if I make short little videos, quite often I get a whole bunch of views. And maybe if I'm lucky, sometimes 3, 4, 5 likes. So I guess I should be happy, right? All right, I got a few other videos to work on, so I'm gonna go over my notes now. Once again, I hope you had a good Labor Day weekend, or just a good weekend or a good Monday, wherever you are. And I'll be back again soon. I'm out.